Somewhere, right? I know for sure that within this particular group, we have people that are already in business, and we also have people that are still studying. I would love to have two from those that are already in business, just to give us a little bit of insight, whether are we taking the right direction, are we A-okay, and with regards to the expectations and stuff like that. Same thing applies to those that are still studying. We would love to hear from you, good people, that are we A-okay, are we meeting your expectations? Because according to my understanding, leadership is all about inspiring others. Therefore, you need to make sure that as you move, look around, make sure that you understand people that you are leading, because we are a team, right? So I would love to hear from two people that are still studying about the program and stuff like that, just two, and two from those that are already in business. But before we get into the serious stuff, can we have a little bit of fun, good people? Do you agree? It's a little bit chilly outside, it's cold, but can we have a little bit of warmth and then we start the program? What we are about to do is going to take us into the map. People need to know about shape. Like I said last week, even if they are overseas, they need to know that we are right here in UKZN trying to bring about the shape so that we can attract more people that can come into this movement. Do I make myself clear? I don't know. I was just hoping that, one would come through this door, but I can come anywhere, because today I want to pretend as if I am some sort of like a gift. Like ladies, they usually have something called kitchen parties where you see a muscular guy coming out of the cake. I want to be like that simply because it's the day before the Women's Day, right? Let me see if you have. But if you feel like joining me, please, let's go crazy just once. The reason why I'm saying that is because the academics are well known of being sophisticated. They don't want to do this and that. But for today, can we go crazy? Even if you can go through your dictionary and check the word crazy, it has to do with a little bit of enthusiasm, right? So, in the name of Women's Day and shape and stuff like that, I'm hoping that we're gonna have the sound.
Men's literacy is an essential building block in a child's.
Are you ready to shake your booties? Praise the Lord. Just a little. For the ladies, please. You are my choice and you're my choice. Can you go ahead and have fun? Just for once. Let's go crazy. You are the chosen one. Let's do this. Come. Bring it up, bring it up. What's my baby? It's another request, please. Come. We have another one. Right. Come, my baby. Come. Yes. Let's see you do those moves. You are scared. It's okay. Let's proceed. Alright, but it's all good. I'm happy. I'm in the right space at the right time. And like I was saying, let's get down to business. Two people that are already in business. We would like to hear from you before we can go so much further. How are things? Are you able to link the dots? Remember, the primary objective is to make sure that we network. Like next week, it's going to be a different ball game. Right now, you're sitting next to your friend, but next week, you're going to be sitting next to somebody that you don't know, simply because we want to make sure that we align the thinking capacity. Right? My friend, would you like to say something about the movement? What have you obtained? What have you achieved? Are you seeing any light at the end of the tunnel? Anyone would like to say something? Right, with a show of hand, feel free. Noma Spanish, uthi la isla bonita, modante penesai, it's okay. Vamos wa Guaira, nagubenda sana. Do you know what that means? It's in Swahili, what does it mean? I love you too. I love you too. All right, yeah, please, any feedback, anything like some sort of like expectations? Are we on the right path? Who would you like to see in this particular room going forward? Unfortunately, we can't afford Trevor Noah. We cannot afford Black Coffee. We cannot afford Rustam Begwayo and stuff like that. But who would you like to see going forward? A person that will speak to your needs. Surely you have this particular dream and you would like to share with someone. My friend, Ufisane Ubonani, is everything okay?
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tendi Subsedezi. I'm from Umlazi. For Shape, I think it's a great opportunity and a platform for me as for the second company I just opened up and see the great opportunity. I just shared something with Doctor on the email Saturday or Sunday. I got two companies. The first one, this was very tricky and challenging because I didn't have a platform such like this one. For the second one, I think it's coming good, it's coming okay, and I can see that I'm channeled. And there's something really touched me that Doctor said last week. He said something must be first be born inside of you before you take it out. So I always, when I go on Facebook, write and say South Africa is changing. This standard thing is no more working for us. So it's very focused and serious that we go for something that we first sit and negotiate, innovate like this, what we're doing on this platform, before we go out to the world and we meet the challenge and we go to see all the job opportunities that are there. For the Shape, I don't mind my time. Even it can be 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. sitting and listening to this one. I'm very grateful. So for now, I just got 3 months just opened up this company trying to set things. But I'm trying to see big change just because of Shape. They've just opened some doors for me and I see the road, clear road coming up for me. And to be honest with you guys, thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we hear from somebody else? My friend, I don't know, there's something that's kind of like attracting me towards you. Do you have something to say, my friend, about the Shape, the developments?
We just see more possibilities. Tumelang everybody. My name is Yashik. I'm the director of Ibobesi Brand King, and it's been excellent being here, also networking with other individuals and also seeing people who are like-minded and people who are have a great spirit as well. With that said, something that always appears on my plate or something that I see is that being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing, and Dean Botha, who was here on 2 occasions, mentioned it, that failure is a part of it, and it's okay to fail. So if you feel that it's not working for you, you can take a step back and also at the same time determine how far are you tracking from your goals. Also, not everybody will be a business owner or an entrepreneur. That's okay as well, because you still have the possibility to exceed within your occupation and then come back to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. So if you don't at first succeed, don't see it as a failure step, at that there's no opportunity for you and the possibilities are just limited. There's endless possibilities and there's enough business for everybody. Everybody has a piece of the pie and everybody can have business and can be successful, and it is your right to be successful. I've networked with Dr. Thea before and I've asked her, when are we moving forward to do more practical examples, because that's something that I'm really interested in. getting to understand the practical aspects of SHAPE and the SHAPE program and the various other fundamental principles. So I'm very geared up for what's going to happen from next week and the weeks going forward. But I'll now hand you over back to see more possibilities and the rest of today's program, because I think it's going to be fantastic. And I'd like to have you all here cheer again. Very good, very good? Yes. Very good, very good? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last one, okay. My friend, I saw your face last time and other time around. Surely you have something good to say. Alright. Have you ever heard of something called voodoo? Something called black magic? But it surprises me that the guy that is using voodoo is a yellow bone. No, black magic and the yellow bone, it's not one. My friend, could you please come a little bit closer? We would like to hear from you. Muti. Alright.
My name is Tandubetsu Tansamawese. I am a student at UKZN and I live in Jordan. With the SHAPE program, I feel like it's been an amazing opportunity for everyone. I feel like every week I come here, I grow intellectually. My knowledge just keeps expanding, and that's something that I wanted to get from the program. Because I feel like
Teacher said it, we know.
But yeah, basically in the short terms, I feel like ever since I started this program, I just wanted to expand my knowledge and my intellectual ability, because I feel like in order to make it in this industry, you gotta know intellectually, you gotta be able to learn new things, you gotta be encouraging yourself to be able to expand your knowledge. So I feel like SHAPE has been doing that for me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really enjoying the program. I hope I can grow my intellectual ability to new levels, because that's been my goal.
Alright, fine. Thank you very much, my friend, but we would like to get the ingredients of that moti that you are using. That whenever you get into the space, the system goes like, that's magic. But on a serious note, good people, thank you very much once again. It really means a lot that you are here, and it's imperative for us to understand whether are you able to receive some information, are you getting any kind of assistance. So if you want to share anything, this is the platform, feel at home, tell your friends about SHAPE, because who knows, maybe next time we're going to be in the ICC, or maybe we're going to take a flight to Joburg to discuss whatever that is to be discussed. Today, Dr. Thea will be introducing today's topic, which is all about you, what you think. It's imperative that whatever that you think correctly, simply because it will bring about the right kind of belief and the right kind of behavior. So what you see is what you get. What you eat will definitely create something out of you. Dr. Thea, without wasting any time, over to you. By the way, you look dope, you look stunning. Look at the skirt, it's like she's a Makoti, and all the way from Nongoma.
Yes, thank you so much. You guys wouldn't believe there's like a pile of clothes on my bed. I was thinking, will it be a skirt? Will it be a nice fitting pants? Am I going to wear a little dress? And at the end of the day, I thought, what is clean? So this is where we end up on this. Thank you so much. Guys, this venue feel kind of nice, eh? It's a bit more breathability. We don't sit on anybody sitting on the floor this week. The air conditioning is working. Would you guys prefer this venue than T10? Yes. This one? All right. Today is a very important day because as from next week, we are going to get our hands dirty. Sorry, girls. It's not that manicure, dirty, mask dirty. We've been having a lot of things happening with us. We've been listening to what's happening on the Mundo systems, what's happening throughout the world. We've had some cool inspirations. We've been looking at our hearts. We've been looking at innovation. And we need to get a bit closer to home to think, right, all these amazing things, how are we going to apply it in making a business work for you? Next week is a very important session. It is sessions not to be missed. It's this week, next week, and the week thereafter. The reason is, we are now moving towards those people who's got businesses already. How are you going to expand it and take it to the next level? How are you going to innovate on it? And those who doesn't have a business yet, what you want to do. Now, we've been speaking about what's happening all over the world. I've got the attendance registers, and there's a specific reason why I didn't circulate it yet. In the attendance register is your name. You will need to sign on it as normal to get your certificate of attendance at the end. But at the cover of the attendance register, there's something called this. Today, our speakers, which I will introduce now, will speak about South Africa, the economic development sectors, and how we fit in. I need you to look at these sectors and think, where is my business fitting in, if you have one? And if you want to do business, where do you fall in? I'm quickly going to go through it. Agriculture, marine science, mining, oil and gas, utilities, construction, manufacturing, wholesale, resale and logistics, information technology, finance and insurance, real estate, professional, scientific, technical services, management of companies and enterprises, admin and support, waste management, education, healthcare, social assistance, and that is not social media, arts, entertainment, recreation, accommodation, food service, general service, public administration. I need to know in what section you want to do business in, because as from next week, we will start dividing you guys in work teams, and those work teams will be related to the section where you want to do business in. So I'm circulating this. I don't know how these people printed it, but it's alphabetic, A, B, C, D, there's a whole pile of them. So sign next to your name, look at this, and then put the industry next to it. I need to have it back by the end of the session. For today, I am so excited because we've got the most phenomenal people. As you guys come to university to get yourself lectured and educated, whenever I need some personal development or lecture or education, I'm turning myself to the gentleman right here, Mr. Ross Rogers. Incredible wise soul, fantastic, knowledgeable what's happening in Durban, what's happening in the region, what's happening in South Africa. And then he said to me, Tia, but I've got this mate. He would be the perfect person to speak about sectors in South Africa. He's phenomenal, he works in the municipality, and that is Mr. Russell Curtis over here. He's the head of department at the Durban Investment Promotion at the Queen Municipality. And these gentlemen are going to speak a bit more about South Africa, where you guys fit in, and in relation to that slide that I showed of the different industries. How do we fit? And what is our responsibility towards ourselves, our business, our society, and our country? Please give them a warm hand, make them feel welcome. Ross, Russell, thank you so much for being here.
don't stress me, just, I don't know if they can see. Anyway, through our heads. Hello everyone, it is great to be with you. My name's Ross. I head up a church. I'm an ex-civil engineer and I'm involved in a bunch of boards in Durban to increase social awareness and help our city grow. Russell Curtis, so we gave him his actual title, but here's what you need to know about him. If money comes into Durban in the billion space, this is the guy that made it happen. He connects private sector to municipality and helps develop big business. And here's why you want to know about this. Because if you're going to start a little business somewhere, you want to know where government and private sector is putting a lot of money so that you can get some of it. I would presume you want to get some of it. So you want to get close to that. He's going to open that up.
I'll just keep it all if you don't want to.
Okay, so Russell, thank you so much for coming. The question I actually get from most young people is, should we stay in Durban? Because Cape Town, Joburg, overseas, let's get out of here. Maybe we can just start by saying, what is happening in Durban? Is it worth staying? As an entrepreneur, is there space to grow?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Greetings everybody, good to be here. And well done for investing in your future. You know, there's that saying, gradatum vincimus, or colloquially, fortune favors the deserving. And the deserving start with those who show up, those who are willing to take some responsibility. So well done for doing that, and wonderful to be here. Thanks Ross and the team for having us. Without a doubt, I'm going to sell you Durban. Durban is a great place. I'll just put it in a very quick acronym for you. I say Durban is a great city because we have all the hits. ALLHITS. It's the 7 competitive reasons why it's a good place to stay here, why it's a good place to invest, a good place to spend your time. A, in that acronym, we are South Africa's most award-winning city. And I could keep you going for another 2 hours listing a whole bunch of awards around the city. L on the acronym of our 7 competitive and comparative advantages is we have a unique lifestyle of business and pleasure together in one place. And make no mistake, that's important to business, that's important to your family, that's important to sustainability. The next of those 7 is largest human resources. We sit within one of the largest human resource pools in South Africa, with some of the fastest skills development taking place. Thank you very much, UKZN. And so that equals a great place for partners, suppliers, skills, employees, bosses, markets, you name it. H in those 7 reasons why you should stay, higher economic growth rates. The city of Durban is outpacing the national average on economic growth rates and outpacing many of the other cities and metros across South Africa. So you want to stay where the trend is your friend. And the trend in higher economic growth rates will stay in Durban's favor because we are a large coastal metropolitan port city. I, infrastructure leadership, that's the port, fiber optics, road, rail, financial services. Sure, we share some of them with the other cities, but we got to share. It's okay, we're happy to share.
All these students are saying, what handsome gentleman with
There we go.
It was a blessing before. Now you got to look at me. And coming towards the end, T, tourism crown, that's important. And S, yes, we may be one of the 2nd largest business bases, but I say the most sustainable business bases in South Africa across primary, secondary, tertiary sectors. So a quick snapshot. This is why you should stay in Durban, because we've got all the hits. Keep all the hits in your mind and speak with structure and confidence about your city.
Russell, guys, we're going to go to where you need to be in a moment, but just in terms of what's coming into Durban financially over the next 5-10 years, what are we looking at in terms of numbers and investment into this city?
There's an enormous pipeline of investment that is coming into Durban, both domestic investment reinvesting and foreign investors coming in as well. Now, I'm a reformed banker, doing my community service payback for the global financial crisis, and battling to open bottles of water.
The dude has like a paragraph behind his name. Most of you will get like 3 letters. He gets a paragraph. Anyway, keep going.
Now, I've been doing this particular job now for about 15 years. 15 years ago, I can tell you we had less than 10% of the investment that's coming into our city right now. About 15 years ago, less than 10%, probably closer to 5%. So the pipeline that's coming into the city right now, we have more than 70 flagship projects, capital projects. Each of these are greater than 100 million rand each. So that equates to a pipeline of investment coming, both foreign investments, existing reinvestment of business. That equates to a pipeline in excess of 700 billion rand. And that 700 billion rand is across a number of different sectors and a number of different geographies. So there is an enormous amount of interest domestically and internationally coming into the city.
That's quite a lot of money. It would be nice to put your business right where that's at. So there are about 16 big nodes that's going into, just location-wise. Whilst people are thinking, I mean, if you're going to start a business, where are you going to start it? Where should they be thinking? Speak to us about some of those nodes and what the plan is.
Yeah, look, there are geographic nodes, and I'll cover some of those in a moment, but also, you know, think virtually. Business is not so limited by geography, by capital, by the other traditional restrictions maybe in the past. So think beyond just the geographic nodes. But to cover some of those, many of you have seen them if you've been driving around. You've seen the big expansion out at Sibaya. So that's an enormous node of investment that's taking place in that Sibaya precinct. It's both international interest and domestic guys investing in that area. So it doesn't matter whether your interest is in small-scale retail, food and beverage, whether it be in tourism, hospitality services, whether it be in construction or professional construction services or communication or transport. All of these big nodes that unlock, they attract people, they attract activities. So Sibaya is one. Going a bit more further north, the airport, Durban Trade Port. I'd encourage you, if you've never done it, take an hour or two, borrow a friend's car if you don't have your own, and just take a drive around that airport precinct. You know, if you don't fly often, you might not know what's going on there. That Durban Trade Port, the King Shaka International Airport, is becoming a real hub of significant investment. That's agricultural related, that's trade and import-export services related, it's manufacturing related. So we've put Samsung's largest African manufacturing footprint into Durban Trade Port. This week we've got the group CFO of Samsung globally coming into Durban, and he's coming to talk to us about a significant expansion that they want to do there. It's about 20,000 square meters under roof right now. They're talking it could go to 100,000 square meters under roof, and they'll start to bring on stream a lot of other products. So that Durban Trade Port precinct is enormous. We have a pipeline of about 6 or 7 pharmaceutical companies that want to come in. One I can tell you about is Cipla Biotech. They're doing a 1.6 billion rand biotech pharmaceutical manufacturing plant there. You might say, well, what the heck is all of that? Well, I don't know, but I'm sure you've got something that you can look at, you know, because they're going to require a whole lot of different things. Transport for their staff, packaging, communications. The whole construction itself hasn't even started right now, it's just greenfields. And then they have a commercial zone, which is offices and services. So Durban Trade Port, Sibaya. If you come into Mhlanga, it's no secret, you can see Mhlanga coming out the ground, there's cranes there, there's tourism opportunities. So Mhlanga is becoming known more and more globally, internationally, as it's quite a tourism hotspot. You know, it's almost becoming like the Monaco of Africa. And all the projections are that Mhlanga area will continue to solidify and grow around the Monaco of Africa. So you say, well, I can't live there, it's too expensive. Yeah, fine. But there's lots of people with a lot of money there. And what do people with a lot of money really want? They want convenience. So think of something that you can help them with convenience-wise. Bit of a chore having to go to Spar and do your shopping. Oh, shame. I'll do it for you for 200 bucks, no problems. So there's a whole lot of convenience needs with people who have the money to pay for convenience in the Mhlanga node. And that Mhlanga node extends all the way up the hill into what we call Newtown Centre, Mhlanga Newtown Centre. You can see enormous densification. That node around backside of Gateway, Wave House, those office parks, some of the residential going across the N2 highway into Cornubia. It's going to continue to be an enormously dense node. So dense meaning a lot of, maybe it's my phone, let me get this away from me. No, my phone's over there. So the Mhlanga node, huge in terms of the number of people that are going to be staying there. Even the smallest of business has a chance when you have enormous populations of people around you. People love pets. Does everyone have a chance, have time to walk their dog? No. Does everyone feel guilty about not walking their dog? Yes. Could you do a dog walking service in that area? Yes. Could you do it online? Yes. So there are modes of opportunity in even the simplest of most basic kinds of convenience and services. So think about what is it that make people feel guilty and you can help them with? What is it that make people want convenience that you can help them with? A lot of different sectors that you can play in. So I don't want to go through all 16, but the center of town, enormous regeneration in the center of town, south and west.
So let's talk center of town, because that's currently got 40,000, is that correct? 40,000, and they're looking to...
About 70.
70,000, looking to take it to 400,000 people living in the center of town. So, I mean, that speaks to opportunities if you're in the building space, renovations, just it opens up the world of opportunities to make money. Speak to us about other nodes south of the river.
Yeah, so one quick comment on the CBD. We have a plan that's in place to try and densify the CBD. And part of the reason that we want to do that is we want to create opportunities for people to live in the middle of town, you know, in nice places, clean places, safe places, for families to grow up in an urban environment. And those who've had the blessings to go to big cities internationally, whether that's London or Manhattan, these are awesome places. But they become awesome because you go there. They become awesome because you choose to live there. They become awesome because you have a family there, you run a business there, and you claim the space for your community. And your very presence dispels and pushes out the crime and the grime. So there's a couple of big investors that are on the go, right in the central business district. One is from the United Kingdom. Their company name is Urban Lime. You know, like that green fruit on the tree, lime, Urban Lime. Urban Lime have been doing inner city urban regeneration for 30 odd years in other places, other countries. They've come to Durban. In the last 2 years, they've invested R1 billion. R1 billion, bought scores of the worst kind of horrible buildings and are in the process of turning them around as a great place to have a little studio apartment to live, have a little office space downstairs, etc., etc. So the urban core is going to have a significant regeneration taking place, likewise down in the Point with our Malaysian shareholders. So CBD, great place, but it can't be a great place without you. So continue to look at the CBD for live, work, play opportunities of all and every kinds. You asked about going down south. Down south has been a bit of a slow starter. You know, if you look at north, there's been enormous expansion from Mhlanga, Sibaya, Dube Trade Port and on. The south now has an opportunity to come out the ground a lot better, in part because of the industrial investment around Toyota. So Toyota remain committed to the city with a big investment plan in that prospective area. If you leapfrog a bit further down, yes, it's nice to see the Galleria shopping mall and those things taking place down there. So what are the art of the possible in terms of convenience, tapping into businesses' needs? I was thinking about earlier, what are some of the small things that you could do? That look overseas, even if you just do some Googling. What are small convenience businesses overseas? If you look in places like New York and others, sandwich vans. You know, it's like a slightly bigger minibus taxi, cool paint job on the outside, but kitted out to provide high quality, affordable priced food. So if you go to industrial nodes, that's not always there. So in the south, there's Southgate Industrial. I reckon those people down there battle for good food, because it's a flipping industrial park, man. You go and park your van there, and you start selling great food at great prices to great people. Further on down south, there's a couple of big projects that are going to be coming out the ground. The one is the Automotive Supplier Park at Ilovo. It starts on the Ilovo River going south. It's 1,000 hectares. Ilovo Sugar have sold it to Dubia Tradeport Development Agency, and they'll start unlocking that Automotive Supplier Park in that south precinct. And the last one is an enormous project down at the Umkamas off-ramp with the Crooks family. So enough about some of those notes for the moment.
Was that stuff interesting? Is it? Are you going? Yeah. Okay, great. Russ, you know, the buzzword in entrepreneurial space at the moment is disruptive innovation, disruptive business, and never has there probably been a time where that's not so needed in South Africa as now. When you think about it this way, the biggest taxi service in the world doesn't own a single car. The biggest hotel industry in the world doesn't own a single hotel. And we could go on and on and on. It's innovative business that throws all the classical ways of doing stuff completely out. Talk to us about the opportunities for disruptive business in the areas like Warwick Triangle, in different spaces in our city.
Yeah, disruptive, number of different definitions, but I want to start on a really basic one. And I think it will be disruptive if each and every one of you practice it. 5 simple things. Now, please excuse me if these are really basic and you're doing them and you're thinking, oh, please, man, you're wasting my time. Simple things. Whatever you're going about doing, get there early. Get there before everyone else.
Your lecture vouch for this. Please take notes of this.
That's really basic stuff, but honestly, I think if you practice it on a sustained basis, you will disrupt others. You will disrupt things going on in a positive way. Secondly, smile. Greet. Talk. Be front-footed. Get some woman in you. Nothing attracts other people more than people who've got woman. Some smile, some greeting, some assertiveness. Even if you have to fake it until you make it. Thirdly, when you've finished your particular job of work, go and ask for more. Go and find more. Go and help someone else with theirs. When you're finished with your particular job of work, don't just stop there. Find more, ask for more, go and help other people with what they're doing. Fourthly, when you're walking around, walk really fast. Walk quickly. Walk with purpose. Walk with direction. Walk like you know where you're going. Walk like you know what you're thinking. Don't drag your heels and go dead slow. I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm just trying to give you opportunities. And then my last thing is, on this 5th element, is when it's time to leave, when it's time to pack up, when it's time to punch the time clock, when it's time to go home, don't. Don't. Stay longer. Work harder. Speak to other people. Stick around a little bit longer. Network. Dig around. So outlast everyone else who leaves. So that's just a quick start on some simple basic things around what I would call really basic disruption. Keep those things going. I guarantee you it will make a difference in what you're trying to do. It may seem obvious. More traditional areas of disruption, as I started alluding to earlier. Think around pain points and pressure points. What's difficult on this campus? So what's painful for a lot of people on this campus? For everyone. So I don't know the answers, but you do. So somewhere in people's pain points is an opportunity. And you can disrupt that with an entrepreneurial element of some kind. What is it that drives people crazy in the spaces that you go and play, where you live? What are some of the most difficult things to do where you live? Therein lies some opportunities. If you have access to technology, if you have access to some kind of ability, technology is a great disruptor. even if it's just a WhatsApp group. You know? So you don't have to be a hacker or a computer programmer to think disruptively and apply disruptive technologies. But if you have some technological capability, definitely bring those into play to help disrupt certain industries. What else can I tell you about disruption?
So I think the Boxer type stores have owned a market share that probably could be disrupted quite easily with selling stuff en masse to taxis. I think there's space that the average South African isn't thinking of taking to scale. And the more and more we're speaking to people from Chamber of Commerce, etc., they're going, how do we get behind people who are going to take goods out in different ways at scale? Because it'll help us with the things we're trying to do. But Russ, I'm gonna move the conversation on. You know, when you and I, you're a little before me. In fact, you're a whole lot before me.
Nice. He's a racing stripe today.
When we went into the corporate world, when we started working, really, I don't know if this was the same for you, but my desire was how much money can I make and how much can I live? I want to build up some experience that I'm more employable. I'm finding now more than ever, you need more than that if you're going to make it, especially in this space, because entrepreneurial spaces, the chance of failing is pretty high. And so you need a level of endurance that goes way beyond the normal job. And speak to us about why South Africa needs entrepreneurs to fly so badly right now.
Sure. I mean, it's no secret that our unemployment rates are way too high. And so it's coming down to individual choices. Do you want to stay in the unemployed or unemployable, or do you want to, excuse the language, get off your bottom and join the employed or join the business people? It's desperate that you do that, yes, for yourself, but also socially, your neighbors. We need it also fiscally, in terms of the VAT that you pay as you go, the tax, the PAY. If you want to see schools for your children and your grandchildren, those things all depend on an economic engine. And that's really up to yourselves as entrepreneurs, up to us as business. We cannot leave nation building to someone else. We can't say it's government's job only. We can't say, oh, it's Unilever's job only. So if we want to build our nation, we want to see our facilities continue to be maintained and upgraded, if we want to feed our own families and neighbors, we really do have to, again, excuse my language, get off our bottom and push at this thing. It's not easy. I mean, I don't have to tell you, some of you are well in business and you've got employees running. You know it's hard yards. But then do any of the good things in life come easy? So if you're wanting all the good things in life, I guarantee you they won't come to you easily. So if you want the good things in life, we really do have to get things going, take responsibility and continue to invest. Don't wait. That's the other thing I wanted to say. You know, I think too often in either starting your first business or expanding your business, we're waiting on something. I'm waiting for more information. I'm waiting for money. I'm waiting for partners. I'm waiting for someone to respond to me. I'm waiting to get the IP. I'm waiting to get a vehicle. Just start. Whatever you can do, just start. Take the leap of faith. As the speaker over there said, doesn't matter if you fail. In fact, it's actually a good thing if you fail. It's a good thing that you fail, because that will, as I'm sure he can attest, that's some of the best school fees you'll ever pay. That's some of the best quick learning you'll ever get. And you won't make that mistake again. But get up and start it again. And do it quickly. Don't wait. It's not going to come to you on a plate.
What I'm going to do now is to make sure that we're going in the right direction, answering the questions you're actually asking. We're going to open it up to the floor. We're going to take 3 questions, and then I've got some more questions I'm going to draw out of him, and then we'll go back to the floor. Is that cool? So, First 3 hands. Just go.
Can I borrow one of these mics and you guys share? Alrighty. And now the first hand must be 70 million steps up in the middle of the room, but I'll come to you at a stealth speed because you've been asking questions consistently every week. Mr. from France, think of your question because it will be the third one. Not that I'm picking on you or something.
You can also use his shop steward voice.
There we go.
Thanks. I just wanted to know, like, in terms of, like, we're talking about disrupting industries. So, I mean, like, now, what are the, say, top 3 industries that you would say is ripe for disruption?
I'll give you one.
Gentlemen, split the answer.
I'll give you one, and then I'll pass back to Ross for the other 2. Look, I think one space where there's a lot of opportunities in agriculture, believe it or not, and perhaps less the primary agriculture, but the provision of food to people. Another sector, think of the supply chain, logistics, getting stuff from A to B. So let me give you a practical example. In Durban right now you have a whole lot of informal traders. They have permitted spots that they operate from in that informal trade. I would imagine their supply chain, their logistics chain of getting their product, whether it's fresh produce or creams and soaps, onto their table is pretty painful for them. And also quite expensive, because there's probably 4 or 5 middlemen in between there. Do you know that the city owns a bulk fresh produce market? So what if someone came along and on your phone you geolocated all the fresh produce informal traders in Smith and West Street, Dr. Pixley Kaseme and Anton Lambert Street. By geolocated, I mean you go with your cell phone, you push that location button, do a screenshot so you've got the GPS point, all the way up and down the road. And then you took orders from them, just using a menu on WhatsApp. You then placed those orders the afternoon before with the city's fresh produce market. You collected it at 5 a.m. in the morning. Yes, that means you're getting up really early. And you drove up and down Smith & West or Dr. Pixley Kaseme, Anton Lambert, dropping it off. And as you dropped it off, that trader paid on their cell phone directly into your bank account. So think about the business models and the lives of people out there. And that's where I think some of your disruption and disruptive opportunities come in. So agriculture is one, and the logistics in agriculture, getting food partially prepared, fully prepared to different people. You obviously have to have a market for all of these things, so identify your markets correctly. What other sectors? I mentioned food again around the different construction sites. I think there's some disruption opportunities around there. I think there's opportunities in public sector procurement. So we, the City of Durban, we spend just on our capital projects, so that's the bricks and mortar kind of things. We spend about 6.5 to 7 billion rand per annum. Now in public sector procurement, there are radical economic empowerment frameworks coming in, which are saying to the traditional supply chains, to public sector, not only ours, but everybody's, at least 30% of that needs to be going to community participation groups, previously disadvantaged groups. So figure out who's supplying what to whom. Who are the big suppliers into the public sector? And you can go in there and disrupt them if you feel you have some skills, some value add, some opportunity, and some blood, sweat, and tears to add into the process. So think about public sector spend as well for some disruption.
Next quick. Thanks, Clinton. This was a powerful new mic. Another hand? All right.
So with regarding being a supplier to the public sector, I'd like to give an example. For example, when we have festivals like the Essence Festival, as a young business owner, you want to be a supplier and part and parcel of this festival, but it's very hard to play in the big boys club because there are already established companies who are there, who are suppliers, and procurement on the other side of the eThekwini municipality is not willing to give up-and-coming business owners like ourselves. How do we then, as young business owners, penetrate that? And how do we get rid of the big boys club? Because there are business owners in Durban, established caterers that we all know who always get the contracts for UKZN things or municipality things. What advice would you give to us to penetrate the market as young business owners?
Such a good question. And firstly, you're probably not going to get rid of the Big Boys Club. And the sooner you get that into your mind, the sooner you'll start to innovate around them. Because the reason they got there, and generally they're stuck in their train of thought, and there are often little opportunities around what they're doing that they're not going to waste energy and money with because they've already got the big contracts. So a lot of people who are picking up smaller contracts and feed-off contracts are the ones who are killing it. The hard work is in finding the little things around. And that's where I'd be putting my energy in, instead of trying to capitalize on stuff that is obvious. The obvious stuff will be taken, and you're fighting for one pie. What you've got to start looking at is that there are lots of different pies. And if I can get a slither there, and a slither there, and a slither there, and a slither there, and I can spread it all around, I can probably make a big pie for myself.
The other thing that I'd say is Durban is very relational in how we do business. You know, Johannesburg is maybe a bit more transactional. Now by that I mean transactional is, I don't have to know you, you don't have to know me, I don't have to know your cousin, you don't have to know my cousin. If we can do business, let's get it done, and if I never see you again, I don't really care. So maybe Johannesburg is a bit more transactional, Durban is a bit more relational. So it is what it is. So rather turn it into a strength, turn it into an opportunity. What am I talking about? I'm saying that when you're trying to break into new markets, new clients, use your ability to form relations in different hubs and different places. So join the Chamber of Commerce and Industry and join one of their committees. Join the Tourism Committee. You know, as a small business, a one-person business, I think the Chamber's fee to join is tiny. There's no fancy electoral process, thankfully, so we don't even have to have any secret ballots. Like today. You can just join the Tourism Committee at the Durban Chamber and you start to build relational capital. You can do the same with SAPOA, the South African Property Owners Association. You can do the same with the South African Shopping Centres Council. You can do the same with BPESA, that's the Business Process Outsourcing industry body. You can do that with a number of different industry bodies, FEDASA, the tourism body, the Federated Hospitality Industry. So join as many business and industry bodies as you can and network, build relationships. Remember those 5 things I said before? Get there early, smile, greet, speak, be assertive, continue to work longer and harder, add more value, ask for more work, stay later, etc., etc. So build relational capital so that you're the most obvious person. When someone thinks catering, your face comes into their mind. So use what Durban is to your advantage and build relational capital, and that way you'll work around some of the big boys clubs.
All right.
I know another question might be coming, but I just wanted to add a bit more on the disruption side of things. You know, some of the big themes in disruption and in innovation are around big data and data analytics, and then applied data solutions. Those who've never heard of this, the quick crash course. Big data, everything is generating information. More and more things are generating information. And that your cell phones, your cars, lifts in buildings, traffic lights, there's little counters as you go on the escalators. You can see a little animal down there counting people going on escalators. More and more things are generating information and data. That data is going into the cloud. A fair amount of that data is open, and there's an organization in Durban called Open Data. You can then get access to some of these data streams, and okay, if you're not technologically inclined, you can find somebody who is, and you get data analytics going. So figuring out the trends and the patterns in this data, you know? And then look for markets for that data. Look for companies who would pay for that data. Look for companies who need to know, what are people doing it? What are people doing? When are they doing it? How are they doing it? So, you know, how many taxis are going into this rank, and how many people get up at this time and walk on the promenade? So think along the lines of data analytics and applied data solutions, which could be helpful for different companies or even for the public sector. I know that's very IT and techie focused, but it is a disruption area.
All right. Mine is different. It's not a question, but it's about saying thank you very much for sharing that kind of information. And when I look at you, say you are so decent. I'll tell you, good people, I know what is happening outside there. Like Sis has already alluded that it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park when you get into the industry. You need to be known by certain people. Sometimes others, they require some political status and stuff like that. It's so not easy. But you just came as a father who's like saying, let's do this, these are the channels and stuff like that. I want to share a story. I've never shared the story with my colleagues and friends. I'm into advertising, right? I elevate, like, you know, like the street poles, like the posters on the street poles. And then I had an idea of like doing the electronic billboards in Durban. And I was fortunate to get funding from SAP to purchase those electronic billboards. And I made an application to Signage and Advertising Department. They said I cannot do the electronic billboards simply because they're going to be distractive to the drivers, you know, like it's going to be flicking and stuff like that and confusing people that are driving cars. I was so discouraged, right? But I was fortunate that I decided otherwise. I took those screens down to the Eastern Cape and Mount Frere. I'm happy to say that I have 2 electronic billboards in the Eastern Cape because my idea was not welcomed in Durban. I don't know why. And now I'm putting others in Mthatha, and like, you know, and right now I have a contract with Umgeni municipality to control signage. But obviously I learned all of those things from from this side. But the moral of the story is we really appreciate your presence, and going forward, we would love to connect with Thea and you in order to simplify the process of getting into the business, because other people won't make it easy. For you, my sister, I wish I could take you like once, like on Wednesday. Every week I go around Durban. I know how, like the map. You go to Durban Tourism, you go to Arts and Living Cultures, you go to Communications, you go to a number of departments. You just greet, attach your face. The more they know you, then you start receiving some of the things. Not that maybe like, you know, there are some relationships and stuff. You break in. Every Wednesday, I just take a bath and simply say that I'm going to Durban. I want them to know me, that I'm Simo. You understand? So, anyone who'd like to join me every Wednesday, we can even hire a Kumbi and get into Durban and break those boundaries. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. We're gonna shift gears a little bit because I want to take you on a journey that will help you in the long run but won't look like it'll help you in the short run. And a lot of people look at tax, BEE, as a YT we can say this, they look at the things we have to do for government and they kind of go, that is an absolute bind. But the truth is, as the water table rises, everything rises. Just speak into how we should view our social responsibility, just in those areas, and then I'm going to take it into the character space.
Again, it goes back, I guess, to my answer around nation building. If we aren't all prepared to contribute, well then, who's going to? Who's going to look after our neighbor? Who's going to build the school? Who's going to build the nation? So paying your tax, I'm going to sound like a TV advert, not only is it the right thing to do, but it is a great contribution towards the roads we all want to see. It's a great contribution towards the schools we want to see. It's a great contribution towards the health facilities, which we're going to need when we get really sick. Around BEE and Black Economic Empowerment. The way I speak to particularly foreign investors and other big investors around Black Economic Empowerment is I say, look, you're coming to do business in our context. One of the greatest strengths in our context is we have the brightest colors of the rainbow nation in Durban. Peach, purple, green, pink, orange, red, blue. We have the brightest colors of the rainbow nation bursting forth from Durban. It is one of our greatest strengths. So when you're doing your business, going about your business, either setting it up for the first time or expanding it, wouldn't you want to tap into the enormous strength in that diversity, right from the entry-level person through to your boardroom table? You know, there's wisdom in the counsel of many. If you just have your business solely populated by people who look exactly like you, think exactly like you, dress exactly like you, speak exactly like you, I'd venture to say that you're at greater risk than the company next door who's chosen to embrace the full rainbow nation colors in their business from top to bottom. So don't do it just because government says so. Don't do it just because the property charter or the mining charter says you have to. Do it because it makes good business sense. Do it because it gives you a competitive advantage. Do it because it will reduce your risk profile in business. Do it because it will open new markets of opportunity for you. Do it because you will be able to converse in multiple different languages across multiple different geographies. So do it because it's the smart thing to do. So that's my comment on BE.
So on top of this, what I've noticed over time with business people is that like attracts like. And people with principles and with character start to attract other people with principles and character, and actually reduces the risk in business. And people who are taking big risks to take the shortcuts to make it quickly often actually lose everything quite quickly too. And the character matrix and us getting character right for Durban is probably one of the most important things of the next little while. Speak to us about character in business and how important it is that it gets in as a value now, because it's going to be tested.
Without a doubt. You know, ethics and corporate governance, these are not just words. These are fundamental pillars to your business, fundamental pillars to your life, fundamental foundations for your family, ethics and business. You know, ethics is taught in the top business schools and many other places globally. Do you know what the globally accepted definition of ethics is? Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That's a line that also crosscuts all the world's major religions. So why don't we follow the ancient paths? Why don't we follow the tried and trusted methods of practicing good ethics? You know these buzzwords of sustainability? Well, that's directly linked to your ethics and to your corporate governance. There are frameworks that can help us do this as well. You've heard of King 4. King 4 corporate governance is the way that companies should be operating and running themselves. Simplest way to talk about that is about triple bottom line reporting. Yes, it's the financial, but it's also the social and the environmental. So what you're doing in your business, no matter how small or how big, or how you're running your home, also think about the environmental, the social, as well as the financial. It's critical, critical, critical. Why? We've got children coming after us. We've got neighbors next door. And if we are not focusing on our ethics and our governance on triple bottom line, it's just not sustainable. It's just not going to contribute to our neighborhoods, not going to contribute to our nation. I know that there's always the temptation to slip an envelope. I know there's people who do it. But you know, I think you can only get away with that for so long. That might be a year or two, you might be lucky, it might be 20 years. But I think you're going to pay the piper at some point in time if you compromise on your ethics and governance. Even if it's when you're putting your head on your pillow and your children are saying, "Daddy, why are you in the newspaper? Well, why are you doing that, Dad?" It'll cost you then, it'll cost you big time. So ethics and governance are absolutely central. I think it's also one of the ways to differentiate yourself in business, also one of the ways to contribute to business. And my last comment is around the social side. There's a company in South Africa called Sirdar, S-I-R-D-A-R. And Sirdar try to help small and medium-sized businesses corporatize, for lack of a better word. They try to help small and medium-sized businesses get a board of directors together and start running your company in a bit more structured, strategic, efficient fashion and get better linkages. One of the things that they have in their compass guiding businesses is what you might call corporate social investment or just community development. So in every part of your business, be sure you're plowing back into those that do not have. Plowing back into those that cannot get. Plowing back into those that have no voice. Justice in business and in life is critical. And by justice, I'm not talking about just there's a scabenga, call SAPS, lock him up, courts, jail, where you go. Justice in the sense of reducing the difference between the haves and the have-nots. South Africa has one of the highest Gini coefficients, the difference between the haves and the have-nots. We cannot continue like that. It is unjust and it is unsustainable. So you take it on board. Even if you've only got a spare 10 Rand, plow that back into those who don't have either a voice or an opportunity, and watch how your business grows. Watch how your business is blessed. Watch what happens to your business. Watch who starts speaking about your business. Watch who gets attracted to your business. You'll be surprised.
I'm going to come back there in a little while, but I want to pose the question to you around capital, because capital is going to be one of the reasons that a lot of entrepreneurs sitting here aren't actually going to get off the ground. They're going to struggle to get a bond, they're going to struggle to get any capital. Talk to us about spaces where they can get capital, what they should do. Just give us some insight there.
Yeah, fundraising is always a challenge, eh? So in your next life, make sure you marry properly. See? And pray a lot more too. See, please, come on now. You have your traditional sources of capital. you know, the banks and so on. There's a great platform that I don't think many people are accessing yet, called FinFind, F-I-N-F-I-N-D, FinFind. It's for lack of a better word, it's a website. It's an aggregator of a lot of different sources of funding, from the traditional banks through to development agencies, through to foundations that give grants, etc., etc. And that's administered by a Durban entrepreneur, Darlene Menzies. And FinFind is a place that you can go to and start logging your projects in and letting the system help you find different sources of finance and access to finance. It's got a couple of other little bolt-on opportunities to it around helping your finances, get your finances in order, your accounting, your financial management, and then there's a business mentorship side to it as well. One of the things that I don't think we as South Africa Inc. have tapped into sufficiently is crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. You know, if you want to get some ideas of the art of the possible, just go onto Kickstarter.com. Kickstarter.com will get your entrepreneurial juices flowing like fireworks. Kickstarter.com is a website that started in the States. And you'll get, what it really is it's tapping into the power, what they call the power at the bottom of the pyramid. So whilst there may be only this many banks with a lot of money, there's 55 million South Africans. Even if they've only got 100 Rand in their pocket. But there's enormous collective wealth at the bottom of the pyramid. Have a look at Kickstarter.com. There's one in Cape Town called Thunder Fund, T-H-U-N-D-A, Thunder Fund. And what they really do is provide you a space for you to pitch your business, whether it's a product or a service. Pitch it there and encourage people to invest in your business. But it's small units, you know, so you're not asking for 2 people with 10 bars each, 10 million each. And in return, you give them something. In return, you give them something. You decide what that is, but you'll get some great ideas of Kickstarter and Thunder Fund and others. So I'm wondering, why can't we get some of that crowdfunding going, even maybe just here on the campus? You know, it's around networks. It's around networks. So what networks are in play on this campus? What networks are in play in your communities? You know, we know about the Stokvels and the co-ops. Those are great, but what I'm talking about is taking the Stokvels and the co-ops and putting them on steroids and giving them something back in return for investing in your business. You don't always have to give something financial back to those who invest. Some people are willing to provide finance for social dividends. So by giving some degree of accountability of the jobs that you'll create and the communities that you'll help. So other comments around finance. I think you need to, as accurately as possible, cost what you want to do. Around trying to convince people to invest in your business, you need to do a significant amount of work around knowing your market. So don't try and sell a product or a service if you're not absolutely convinced in your own heart about the market for that thing.
Russ, just dig into that, because I spoke to a bunch of entrepreneurs here who are trying to battle against big brands. And there's space for them to make money, but I think, how would you go about it if you had a product and you wanted to really make sure that you had tweaked your product right? How would you do research?
You know these things they call focus groups. So get a small, diverse group together and test your product or service with different focus groups. And then tweak your product or service based on the little focus groups that you get going. Some more hands on the top there. I don't have any silver bullets for you. You know, you guys are moving in such a diverse set of places and spaces. Be sure that there's a market for what you want to do. Go and take your product and service and offer it into those markets and test the responses of those markets. And then some of the normal responses in terms of raising finance. If you're asking people to put money into your business and you have no idea of the cash flow of that business for at least the first 6 months, well then you're kind of wasting your own time and theirs as well. So have a cash flow projection. A cash flow projection. For all of these business things, by the way, I love Google. Google can make you look like a rocket scientist. Go on to Google and ask Google. Small little tip. You know, on your phones and your laptops, you seen that little microphone icon next to the Google bar?
Yeah.
You all know how that works, eh?
Yeah.
You sort of push that button there and you speak. You don't even have to know how to type and spell. You just push that button there and you say, cash flow projection template for a small retail food business. The letters come up on your screen and opportunities for Excel templates are right there. So you don't have to know everything and know people. Use the technology, use the templates, use other people's examples, use your friends and family, use your focus groups, and just get started, get going, and keep pushing at all of the doors, and use places like FinFind and other opportunities.
Great, I'm going to open the questions back to the floor. Simo's going to lead this next part to get some questions out, but just so you know something about this man, he, on his off days, goes and he gets prisoners who've come out of prison and he re-engages them into communities so that they can have a life. Because often they have great community in prison, actually, and then when they get out, everybody rejects them, and that man gives his spare time to doing that. Give him a hand for doing that. You have a wealth of knowledge. Ask questions, and then we'll wrap this up. So, hands again, please. Oh, we love that man.
Look into Bitcoin as well.
Alright, I'm gonna be talking with my mouth full, but anyway. You were talking about cash flow and writing down a projection of cash flow. But I mean, like, a business it's very unique, right? And how do you predict cash flow? How do you, in terms of an individual's business? Or, that's my question.
Cash flow is really just getting a very informed calculation. It's not perfect, it's not an absolute science. Getting a very informed calculation as to what you think your inflows are going to be month by month by month, based on whatever you're going to be selling or doing. Putting the costs that you know are going to be in there each and every month. Petrol, telephone, taxi, airtime, you name it. Putting them in there. And what does the end of the month look like? It's based on the market that you're trying to address, the market that you're trying to tackle. SMART, S-M-A-R-T, needs to be specific, measurable, realistic, achievable, and time-bound. It must be smart. So you don't put crazy, unrealistic numbers on there that your probability of achieving those, whether they're on the revenue line or the cost line, are 5%, 10%. So it's based on what you think you can do on the income side and what you know your costs are going to be, both fixed costs and variable costs, on a monthly basis. So it's got to be a well-calculated thumbsuck. But there's lots of different examples, as I say, on the web, which will prompt you. It will get you to think about different areas of cost, get you to think about different timing of revenue streams. That's quite a key item in cash flows, is the timing. You might think you're going to do 100,000 Rand sales this month, but that's not cash. That's just sales. So the timing of your money coming in, the timing of your money coming out is critical. So get the timing in those cash flows. You may do 100,000 in sales, but at the end of the month, you're maybe only going to collect 10,000 of that 100,000. And the balance will come in over month 2 and month 3. So I'm answering your question in a roundabout way. It's just applying your mind, using a template to the art of the possible and the timing of your inflows versus your outflows.
My question is, how then do you grow your business? Because I've noticed most South Africans do have the potential of doing business, but then the problem is with the growth of the business. Being able to, like, let me put in a scenario, maybe like I'm selling somewhere. Then now I need to grow my business from being a small entity, maybe like into a company. Then do I like increase the cash flow or invest in another business? Or how do I balance the two? In terms of like increasing the cash flow or employing more staff, but then it's kind of difficult. I just want to know, how do you grow a business?
Yeah, I think for me it's around risks and rewards. So you need to be looking at the risks and rewards of how to grow your business or starting another business. The margins in your particular businesses. Don't chase just turnover. Don't chase just sales, because you can exhaust yourself chasing turnover, chasing pure sales. But if the margins in it are a lot smaller than chasing sales in another area, chasing growth in another area, it makes more sense to do it over there. So look at areas of profitability, balance that profitability relative to risk. So what's the risk of if I push over here versus the risk over here? And make informed decisions around those risks and rewards. Growing your business is a function of a lot of different things. I think part of what you're talking about also is the marketing aspect. So brainstorm around your marketing opportunities. Think about new technological ways to do that. I mean, you know, you look at how some people are making ridiculous amounts of money. I've got a almost teenage daughter. She turns 13 this month. She watches on YouTube this teenage twins in America called Brooklyn and Bailey. Brooklyn and Bailey have turned themselves and their family into multi-dollar millionaires by just recording once a week their little lives. I'm trying not to sound too condescending here. Their little lives and what they do. So, okay, they're twins, so it's kind of cool to see two near-identical teenage girls doing things. But they've parlayed that into a business empire because they have a whole bunch of people following them on YouTube. So in your businesses, what about starting a YouTube channel and starting to feed that YouTube channel with stuff which you think other people might be interested in? There's a relatively free form of marketing on a YouTube channel. And everything that you then do after that, continue to point people back to your YouTube channel. And so at some point in time, you might find you have 100,000 people watching you sell oranges in Dr. Pixley Kaseme Street, and you're telling jokes to the guys as you go. Now you have some goodwill in your business. Now Unilever might want to come along and say, wow, you have an audience like that on YouTube. Can I do X, Y, and Z with you? So think of different ways to market your business beyond just the traditional marketing ways and means. So marketing your business to grow, and then looking at the risk and rewards of where you want to invest your time and your money for maximum return relative to other options and opportunities.
I had a business opportunity at the beginning of the year to invest in Ocean's Hotel. It was selling their shares publicly, the one in Shanghai. And so my question is, are those type of opportunities good or bad, or should we research more about them? Because my whole thing was that I don't know who's handling, I had no information on Oceans, and no matter how much I researched about them, I didn't actually know who's running things. So I do want to invest in these type of things, especially when it has to do with developments in Benito and other areas towards the north. And so my question is, when you're that type of person who likes owning shares in different companies, how do you make sure that the money is being used in the right way so that you can make a profit?
Slightly different kind of investing to investing in your business. You know, so we've been talking a lot around investing in your own business. I think what you're talking about there is a diversified investment strategy, perhaps for the medium and long term, which is important as well. In that context, they generally say property, equity, and cash. So cash, keep some short-term cash. This is for the guys who probably don't even need to be in this room, eh? Keep some short-term cash. Property, it is a good investment. And equities, that's just shares on the JSE. When it comes to property, I love the property sector, especially in Durban. I think it's going to be very hard for you to go wrong or lose money in property in Durban for the next 10, 20 years. Why I say that so confidently? There's a crowd called Knight Frank International. It's K-N-I-G-H-T, Knight Frank International. They're a huge property entity globally. One of the things that Knight Frank does is a global residential properties index. So they rank cities according to how well is residential property doing globally. Durban is #1 in South Africa, #1 in Africa, and in the top 50 cities on the planet at position number 26 as the best place to invest your money in residential property. So I think putting money into property, whether it's in a unitized scheme, shares in a property development, or even just buying another small flat and renting it out, I think you'll do pretty well. Don't come and shoot me if you lose your socks in 20 years. But I think property is a great investment. When it comes to shares, etc., I just like mutual funds, unit trusts. You know, the big names, Coronation, Allen Gray, Investec. Put a bit of bucks aside in those, forget about them and let them go for the next 20 years. If you really want to get excited about investment, Google an exponential curve. Google an investment curve. It makes certain assumptions based on growth in usually equities. Yeah, it might not look so great for the first 10, 15 years or so, but watch out on that 20-year mark or that 25-year mark or that 30-year mark. That curve starts to go like this. If that doesn't motivate you to put $100 away now, then I don't know what will. Don't touch it. Leave it there. In 30 years from now, you'll thank me.
Good afternoon. Hello, I came in a bit late, but I think I just want to ask a question. And I know that South Africa and Durban comprise of international students, people are not South Africans. And I know that for you to actually be a very successful business person, international business is very, very important. We have organizations like ShopRite, MTN, transcending the shores of South Africa to other countries. Now, some of us are spread and are just here for a while and will be going back home. And we are also looking at opportunities for international businesses. What would be your advice, or how would you advise us in terms of looking where to actually focus to be able to identify opportunities that we can